tried to run back, and the other gray guy stuck a needle in my back, and I remember being taken inside the craft.
Well, one of the most phenomenal aspects of an incredible phenomena is the idea that there is so much control that the UFO occupants have of our memories, of our behavior. Why a person would recall later often has to do with another abduction experience, which is, let's say, slightly more ragged than the earlier ones. And they begin to think about this one, and they look into it. And very often a person will put all kinds of incredible things out of their mind until they hit the 25 or 35 or 45, and something happens that day. And they come back with this wound on their leg, and somebody saw a UFO leaving the house, and one thing and another, and they think, what's going on here? And they look into that, and that begins to reveal the train of things that led up to that point.
For hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people in this world who experience a UFO encounter, this is the most amazing experience probably of their life. And most of these people tell practically nobody about it, right? We're dealing with this phenomenon in a completely atomized way, isolated from each other, with no broader cooperation and collaboration to deal with this.
Claims that the US government has held back information about alien visitors are as old as the purported UFO crash at Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. Some officials in the military believe in the extraterrestrial presence. Why? Is there really a government cover-up? Have enormous sums of money been illegally diverted into black projects?
Of course.
I went to the general one day, and it was agreed that we would start no projects in the Army on those three items: crop circles, mutilations, and abductions. But we would watch them. We would keep getting the reports, because our main objective in those days was weapons of war. So we tried to make advanced weapons that maybe we could reach them, but we're never sure that they would fight on our level. And I'm still not sure whether they'll fight on our level. Why should they if it's a super intellect? Fight us with bombs and cannons? That's not the way they'll fight us.
There's a lot of people running around within the national security community who don't seem to have a lot of oversight, but have access to a lot of money. Most famously, this was a statement by Donald Rumsfeld in July of 2001.
According to some estimates, we can now track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
$2.3 trillion in transactions. Where does it go? I think some of it gets siphoned off into black projects.
The sound of a craft came up the valley where we were and went no more than about 10 or 15 feet over our heads. There was no downdraft, and when it went by, there was no backdraft. It was traveling, I guess, about 2 miles an hour, and it went on into a research area out here, part of White Sands. There were 6 of us out there looking up at this thing, and there was nothing to see.
They is Majestic 12, the Committee of the Majority that was formed by Truman in 1947 following the crash at Roswell. And they are the powers that be over the ET technology and the reverse engineering and development of it to the robust state it's purportedly in now, which is starships, U.S. starships. Majestic got together with the Office of Naval Research and got together with Lockheed Skunk Works in the late 40s. They started taking this crash bird and figuring out how it worked. By the end of the 50s, they figured out how it worked. So by the 60s, they were able to replicate the technology in a Model T type style and make it fly.
In the book, The Day After Roswell, Colonel Philip Corso really talks about back engineering the Roswell artifacts, that he was in charge of research and development at the Pentagon, where they took the microchip fiber optics, night screening devices. He was given these things to give huge established companies to back engineer this material. He had huge envelopes of money used to give him. There was no paper trail for what happened.
They don't really care if we know that there's aliens out there, but they very much care if we absolutely know for sure there's aliens out there, because then we know for absolutely sure that there's alternative technology out there, and this could endanger their monopolies.
When you step back from the decades of human reporting out of the human abduction syndrome, and you parallel that with physical evidence of craft, and you parallel that with the United States' great priority in the Truman administration was to bring down this disk in order to get the technology into corporations at the most confidential and highly secret level.
In the Pentagon are programs known as SAPs, Special Access Projects. Many of these are unacknowledged SAPs, so that means they don't exist. These are dominated not so much by military personnel, but rather by private contractors. At least one of these special access programs is in fact related to the study of extraterrestrial technology and bodies.
There was an incident at Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania, in which there was a craft not of this earth crash. And after we cordoned off the area, I was asked to go ahead and move closer to the object. That was my first exposure to a craft that was down, complete with bodies. Von Nucleus within the U.S. government takes this information, digests it, and does what they call a formalized intelligence product. That formalized intelligence product is then given to customers in the field. I can tell you that we have had contact with entities not of this planet